Prime Minister has it.
Thank you, Mr Speaker, and I thank the member for Groom, because he understands that a strong economy is the basis for everything else that you hope to achieve as a government. It's a strong economy that guarantees the essentials that Australians rely on, whether that's the pension, Mr Speaker, whether that is aged care funding, Mr Speaker, at record levels under this government, whether it's the National Disability Insurance Scheme. It all depends on the economic and financial management that is necessary to ensure a strong economy, because a strong economy means a stronger future. Now, Mr Speaker, I'm asked about the uncertainty of the times and what is necessary. Now, Mr Speaker, what you need is strong economic leadership and strong leadership on national security. There needs to be strength in your decisions, and there is no room for weakness, Mr Speaker. And I have been asked about alternative approaches, and it is true I have answered the member for Lindsay about the government's strong economic plan. But, Mr Speaker, there is an alternative approach that we know that comes from the Labor Party, and in particular the Labor Party. Mr Speaker, it was the Shadow Treasurer who was asked by David Spears, Mr Speaker, would you increase taxes for ordinary Australians at all? His answer, would you increase it, he said, we haven't finalised our full suite of policies, as you'd appreciate, Mr Speaker. There are still 2 budget updates between now and the next election. Mr Speaker, there was a simple answer. No, we're not going to increase taxes. But, Mr Speaker, the Shadow Treasurer couldn't answer it that way, because we know the Labor Party, and the Labor leader in particular, Mr Speaker, has always been for higher taxes, as the Treasurer has been reminding that House. He's been for a mining tax. He's been for a carbon tax. He's been for a congestion tax. He's been for a retirees tax. He's been for inheritance taxes, Mr Speaker. He had for inheritance taxes, Mr Speaker.
The Prime Minister will resume his seat. The Deputy Leader of the Opposition on a point of order.
Relevance, Mr Speaker. The Prime Minister was unable to sustain an answer about the government's actions for a minute.
No,
I mean, literally less than a minute.
Leader of the Opposition
well, Mr Speaker, if the question...
The Deputy Leader of the Opposition will resume his seat. The Prime Minister is in order.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. There will be a choice made by Australians this year at the election, Mr Speaker, and they will be weighing up the choice. And economic management will be a key factor in that choice because of the uncertain times which we face. And this is a leader of the Labor Party who has supported higher taxes all his life, Mr Speaker. And to think he wouldn't do so when push comes to shove at the behest of the Melbourne and the Greens, Mr Speaker, is pure fantasy. The weak financial management, they would have spent $81 billion more during the pandemic from the very policies they enunciated during the time. Their climate policies, Mr Speaker, will only put electricity prices up because they don't strike the right balance. And small business will face a rejuvenated militant union movement, whether on the waterfront, Mr Speaker, or in the supply chain, choking up their supply chains. Mr Speaker, this is the Leader of the Opposition who wanted the government to buy an airline in the middle of the pandemic, but when he was Transport Minister, he couldn't even build an airport.
The Prime Minister's time has expired.